part of We the People, celebrating 250 years. Here's This Day in History. Proudly sponsored by American Family Insurance.
We are counting down to America's 250th birthday next summer, sharing stories along the way, the people, places, and things of our past that have shaped our country into what it is today. And Charlie, grab your conductor's hat. We are hopping aboard a train.
That's what it sounds like. November 20th, back in 1850, the first train ran in the state of Wisconsin. The trip was a short one, 5-mile stretch from Milwaukee to Wauwatosa. Since then, the railroad has expanded and still runs on the same route today. The inaugural trip was known as a director's special, not open to the public. That first passenger run would happen 3 months later on February 25th, 1851. Train operated on the Milwaukee and Mississippi Railroad, later merging with other companies to form the Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, and Pacific Railroad. It's better known as the Milwaukee Road. The original goal of the railroad was to build the line westward, running from Milwaukee to Madison and Prairie du Chien. The line did reach Madison in 1854 and eventually stretched all the way to the Mississippi River at Prairie du Chien in 1857. That's this day in history, November 20th.
You ever taken a trip on a train? Ever done that?
I have.
You have? I've never been on one.
What?
Yeah, never been on a train.
You've never been on a train?
No.
Like, even like a play train or like?
Yeah, I mean like a play, yeah, like a kid's.
Like an amusement park?
Yeah, like that.
But
for
you've
sure.
never been
like a legitimate like travel from Milwaukee to Madison, whatever, you know, that kind of train. Never.
Subway?
Subway, that's different, right? Not like a conventional old train, old-timey train like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll fix that,
Gotcha.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't lived yet, is what he's trying to tell me.
I took one to the Grand Canyon once.
Cool. That'd be a good way to see it.